Hey, all you works in progress. I kind of had fun with this one. Words to live by. Today's word is density. So, what do we mean when we say density? We're not talking about someone that's slow on the uptake or, dense as far as following directions. We're talking about muscle tissue. And when it comes to density, muscle tissue means that it's tighter and packed together so that it's stronger. Let me see if I can give you a visual. Picture a box of spaghetti. If you pull all the spaghetti noodles out and you have your hand wrapped around them and hold them tight, that's muscle density. Each piece of that spaghetti is a muscle fiber, and the way they're packed in together is the denseness. So let's take this into training. When it comes to building muscle density, do not confuse density with size. This is a separate thing, and building dense muscle means that you're getting stronger. So to do this, your training would be probably in the lower rep ranges. I would say 6 reps, even lower on some instances or some exercises, and you would try to keep building strength. Now, if you get into size structure, as far as what you want for size, once your muscle is built or it's stronger, then you get into more of a hypertrophy training it's called sarcoplasmic or sarcoplasm. Sarcoplasm is the gelatinous liquid, everyone calls it something different, but it's basically the stuff around the muscle fibers. So again, using that spaghetti analogy, if you were picturing those noodles, think of fluids surrounding each noodle. And you have in that fluid glycogen, ATP, enzymes, phosphagen. I mean, there's so many things that make this up. If you're curious, look up cytoplasm. That may answer some of your questions. All right, so we talk about density, and then we talk about size. These are two separate components. And this video is primarily about density, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I think there's a misnomer where a lot of people believe that you have to continue to stay strong and train heavy to get bigger. Not true, in my opinion. You need to break up some of this as far as your workouts. So you would have programs where, let's say, week one, maybe that's a strength week. So your exercises are done in sets of 6 reps, 8 reps. Week two, maybe 10 to 15 reps, mix it up. Because what happens with the higher rep range is you're forcing more blood and oxygen into the tissue and the sarcoplasm that we talked about, and that expands. So as your muscle fiber is damaged from the weight training, you're also fatiguing along with it because of your higher rep range, and these fluids grow and change as far as not their internal structure, but change as far as the size and the volume. So that's what gives your muscle the size. It's not necessarily the heavy weight that gives you size. So what I'm talking about here is the density is different than size. And it's my opinion as a trainer and coach that when you start training, you want density. This density will help ligaments, tendons. It will help structures in your joints as far as keeping them strong and stable. And then once you feel you have a base, you start into the other training, which is the higher rep range stuff. And the way they term it is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, and the one for the density is myofibrillar hypertrophy. Hypertrophy, really all it means is grow, gains. In the medical community, it's growth. In biology, it's excessive development. So I like the growth side. That's gains for me. So I'm all about hypertrophy, which is growth. That's all that means. Don't let these terms confuse you. The science can bog you down. So I'm trying to explain this where it's easier for everyone to understand, and to also understand that to become good or even great, you need to build your density first. Then you work on the size. You can't just start weight training and think you're going to get huge and act like, oh, everything I do is going to make me bigger. Not necessarily true. Build your base, which is muscle density and strength. Then you take off from there. If you want more information, the terms you want to look up: myofibrillar hypertrophy, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, and the things that make up the sarcoplasm: cytoplasm, which is part of the materials and the enzymes and the liquids around the muscle fibers. Check those out. I would also like to give thanks to my buddies Doug, Scott, and Dave for helping me bring this to light and do a little research. So, good luck with your training. Stay strong and keep going.